You're born in Rome, 126 AD. And congratulations, you've just entered the world as property. Your mother is a wet nurse, which means she's valuable enough to keep alive and fed, but not valuable enough to keep her own children. You're pulled from her breast within hours, so she can get back to work feeding someone else's baby. You spend your first years being raised by other slaves. Think of it as ancient Rome's version of communal childcare, except nobody's doing it by choice. By age 5, you're old enough to understand the household hierarchy. At the top are the dominant, the master and mistress who own everything, including you. Below them are the freed slaves, then the skilled slaves, then the general laborers, and at a special tier, all your own, the wet nurses and the girls being groomed to replace them. Lucky you, you're not educated like a scribe's child might be. Instead, you're constantly monitored. Every few weeks, an older slave woman checks your weight, your health, examines your chest for early signs of development. She asks if you've started bleeding yet. She makes notes on a tablet that gets reviewed by the household steward. The message is crystal clear. Your value depends entirely on your ability to get pregnant and produce milk. You hit puberty around 13, which means the real monitoring begins. Congratulations, you're now a walking milk factory in development. Your diet gets adjusted, more protein, more milk, fewer acidic foods. You're given lighter work duties and assigned a sleeping area closer to the other potential wet nurses, away from anyone who might distract you from your sacred calling of future lactation. This is when you meet Marcus, a field slave who gets rotated into household duties. You start talking during meals. After a few months, your master notices the attachment and decides it could serve his interests. They graciously allow you to contubernium, an informal slave marriage, quick ceremony, iron rings, and a borrowed white tunic. How romantic. For a few months, you almost forget this arrangement exists purely for their benefit. Almost. The pregnancy happens naturally. Thank the gods for small mercies. Some wet nurse candidates get assigned breeding partners based purely on physical compatibility. Or worse, but you get to conceive a child with someone you actually care about. You give birth after 9 months of knowing exactly how this will end. The baby is healthy, perfect, and yours for approximately 18 hours. Then she's taken to be raised by other slaves. While you're cleaning up and presented to the Cornelius family, whose newborn son needs a wet nurse. Upper-class Roman women rarely nursed their own children. It was considered undignified, and more importantly, it would delay their ability to conceive again and produce more heirs. So they outsourced motherhood to women like you. This is where you're supposed to feel honored. The Cornelius family is wealthy, connected, and influential. But you're not allowed to grieve for the daughter you'll probably never see again. You're not allowed to ask questions about her welfare. Your job is to transfer all that maternal energy to the Cornelius baby. To love him like your own child, while never forgetting that he's definitely not yours. The nursing routine becomes your entire existence. Your diet becomes even more controlled. No garlic, no onions, no wine that might affect milk flavor. Every aspect of your behavior gets monitored to keep you calm and productive. A full night's sleep becomes a luxury for the wealthy. You're up at 2 a.m. for feeding, then 3 a.m. Then 6 a.m. you've learned to sleep in increments, snatching rest between the baby's demands. And Marcus, your husband, he's immediately transferred to field work. Wet nurses can't have husbands interfering with their milk production or emotional focus. Days turn to weeks. The distance between you and your little family grows with each passing day. Each feeding, each sleepless night. Naturally, you develop genuine affection for the Cornelius child. How could you not? You spend more time with him than anyone else does, including his actual parents, who have other priorities. You feed him, soothe him, hold him when he sleeps. But you're constantly reminded that this bond is temporary and one-sided. You're not his mother. You're just his wet nurse. After 18 months, the child is weaned and you're reassigned. The first separation is devastating. Another child you've grown to love, gone forever. But by the second household, the Flavius family, you're learning to manage the attachment. By the third, you've developed what might be called professional distance. You still care for each child, but you've learned not to completely shatter when it's time to move on. The pattern repeats for over 20 years. You nurse children across different households, moving from family to family. Each assignment lasts 12 to 18 months. You learn to love efficiently and let go cleanly. It's a skill set nobody puts on their resume. But something unexpected begins to happen. The Cornelius boy never gets sick. He walks at 10 months. Speaks in full sentences before his second birthday. Maybe it's the extra protein in your diet. Maybe it's the fact that, unlike most wet nurses, you're actually in good health. Or maybe the rich just love a good myth. Either way, word spreads. When the next child you nurse, from the Flavius family, shows the same freakishly early development, people start whispering, by your third assignment, Cartesian families are competing for you. They offer extra payments to your owners, send gifts of fine food to support your milk quality, and try to outbid each other for your services. You're no longer just a wet nurse. You're the wet nurse. The one everyone wants. For the first time in your life, you have something resembling power. Not freedom. Don't get ahead of yourself. But leverage. Your owners begin offering small tokens of appreciation, upgrading your quarters with plush bedding and modest comforts. You're still property, but you're valuable property, and everyone knows it. This continues for over 15 years. You're at the peak of your profession, moving between the most prestigious households in Rome. Senators' wives send personal requests. You have your pick of assignments, your own small retinue of servants to attend to your needs. Then around age 43, you notice the first signs. Your milk production starts to waver. Some days are fine, others, you struggle to meet the child's needs. You try to hide it at first, adjusting your diet, drinking more fluids, anything to maintain the flow that's been your ticket to the good life. But biology doesn't negotiate. By 44, your milk production stops completely. You've just lost the only skill that made you valuable. And it's not like you have a 401k to fall back on. You're reassigned to household duties. Scrubbing floors, emptying chamber pots, hauling firewood, washing linens, all the work you've been exempt from for 2 decades. The transition is brutal. For over 20 years, you were specialized labor with status and comfort. Now you're doing whatever nobody else wants to do. You move from your comfortable private room back to the general slave quarters, sleeping in a space you share with 6 other women. The food goes back to basic rations. The small luxuries disappear overnight. Your body, soft from years of good treatment, struggles with the physical demands. Your body aches constantly. Your hands crack and bleed. You realize just how grueling the traditional slave's life really was, and how much you'd forgotten during your years of relative privilege. The years crawl by. Your hair turns gray, then white. Your spine curves from decades of labor, first from nursing, then from scrubbing floors. At 62, you're ancient by slave standards. One winter morning, you're scrubbing the entry hall when a soft voice makes you freeze. A woman is asking about someone who might have worked here many years ago. You straighten up slowly, your old joints protesting. The woman standing before you has your eyes. She looks to be in her 30s, about the right age. She's well dressed, confident, and free. Your heart pounds, but you don't dare let yourself hope. She explains that her mother was a wet nurse here, someone about your age now. Her eyes study your face with growing recognition. When she smiles nervously, you see Marcus in that expression. Your voice comes out as barely a whisper. What was her name? She doesn't know. She was taken from her mother when she was just hours old. But she's been searching for years. She earned her freedom, married well, and now has the means to find her mother. Or to buy her freedom if she's still alive. You drop the scrub brush. Your hands shaking. She's alive. You manage to say, she's right here. The reunion is everything and nothing you imagine. She helps you to your feet, holds you while you both cry. And within hours she's negotiating your freedom with your master. The transaction takes 3 days. A small fortune to you. Pocket change to her. For the first time in your life, you walk out of a Roman household as a free woman. Your daughter takes you to her home. A modest but comfortable house with a garden where you can sit in the sun. For 8 months you live as a free woman with your family. You die peacefully in your sleep on a warm spring morning. Your daughter holding your hand. It sucked to be a wet nurse slave in ancient Rome. But then again, it sucked to be any kind of slave in ancient Rome. But hey, at least you got 23 years of relative privilege, 8 months of true freedom, and a daughter who never forgot you existed. In the end, the most important bond of all found its way back to you. A far better ending than most Roman slaves ever get.